The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of Green Acres and our guests. These general gardening tips and suggestions may work for you, as well as those from alternative sources. When using any garden products or tools, read and follow all label directions. And learn how to make your yard summer strong at bewatersmart.info.
The Green Acres Garden Podcast is the podcast dedicated to helping gardeners hone their growing skills while we celebrate our love of plants. So whether you're new to growing or a seasoned gardener, you're sure to learn something new. Join the fun as we have conversations with world-class growers, passionate green thumbs, and professional garden experts from Green Acres Nursery and Supply. Listen every week. We'll answer questions you didn't know you had. And away we grow. Hello there, and welcome everybody to the show. I'm so glad you can make it. I hope you all had a great week. And we got a wonderful episode for you. I'm your host, Kevin Jordan, teacher by day, podcaster by night, lover of plants always. And we have a great episode for you because it is fall. Autumn is finally here, folks. Yay! Celebration is happening. That's where you can add the clap sounds, Austin.
Yep.
Yes. I'm stoked for fall. I don't know about you guys. It was a nice, warm summer. It was delightful. It could have been hotter, so we were pretty thankful. But it's nice. Actually, I had some dew on my windshield the other morning, Austin.
Did you really? It's already that time.
And I realized, the mornings are cooler. You know, the nights are coming on a little bit faster. So obviously shorter days. But those nice, cool mornings, man, I love it. And the peak heat isn't quite as bad. So for me, I love this time of the year. We're in transition, folks. All hands on deck. I know a lot of people are in the garden. They're probably thinking, all right, the summer's over. I'm taking a break. But you know what? Actually, for me, the fall garden, the cool season garden, that leading into that winter garden, for us here in Zone 9B, I'm so grateful for our weather and climate here because we get to grow pretty much every day of the year. And so for me at the school, I love the summer garden, Austin. It's pretty fun. I love all
your tomatoes
the abundance. We got melons and cucumbers and maters and basil and all this. But honestly, once we get that cool season garden going, to me, I feel like it's a little bit lower effort and still has tons of high yield for even with cooler temperatures. So in today's episode, we're going to just dive right into it. We're going to cultivate some garden knowledge, a little bit of love for the fall planting season, and tell you why fall is for planting and why autumn is so awesome.
All right, this is an exciting time, and I can see it in your eyes, Kevin. You are pumped. You are ready to rock for the fall gardening. I guess the question that comes to mind first is specifically why. You kind of teased at it, but why do you think fall is the best time to plant?
Well, for one thing, it's just easier to be out in the garden. And so the cooler temps are great for the gardener, but they're also good for the plant. It's just less stress when you're transplanting on those plants. Even though we are getting cooler weather and shorter days, the soil typically tends to be warm in the fall still. And so that warm soil is really great for root activation. So if you're going to be planting something, everything from a small seedling up to a big tree. I mean, your ornamentals, your perennials, your shrubs, your trees, fall is an amazing time to plant because it is so, the stress is diminished and you have this huge long season where you get these seasonal rains. So it allows your plants to get rooted in. But like I said, even for the veggie garden, you can still have a lot of fun.
Okay, so now you brought up veggie gardening, which is what I get the most pumped for. I love growing my own food and harvesting and eating it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it tastes better. It's so much fun. I love giving it away to my friends and family. So let's discuss veggie gardening first. If you don't mind, Kevin, I would love to learn what you have in store for us, what you recommend we start planting, what we start thinking about for veggies.
Seeds, wonderful seeds.
Okay.
I love planting from seed. I'm sure some people listening are like, I've already got some of my seedlings going. And if you do, good on you. So you can direct seed things like beets, celery, bok choy, even cabbage and carrots. It's a great time to plant them. Swiss chard, your collard greens, things like lettuce, all those greens. I mean, lettuce and spinach, mustard, radish. And then we get into things like your garlic and your onion sets. This is a perfect time to get them planted as well. And you know me, I love garlic. We've done a video on it. Maybe we'll have to do some more. And garlic is such an amazing plant to get into your garden at home. For me, I love it because it's a low effort plant that is really easy to take care of. And I'm still enjoying the harvest that we planted last fall.
Me too.
I have a big old basket at the school still left over of all these delicious, from soft necks to hard neck garlic varieties. These delicious ones. We've been making garlic bread with the students. The culinary department has all this fresh garlic to use. But we will eventually run out, so it's time to get planting again. I do that thing where I'm probably going to plant even more this year. We planted quite a bit last year, but it was so successful. And for me, like I said, it's low energy. It's low effort growing. And if you have struggles and you're like, man, I just really need a win in the garden, start with garlic. There's so many different ways to use it, but it's so easy to grow. I can teach you in like 60 seconds. So find good garlic. Good healthy garlic sets. Some people have had success. Oh, I use them from the store. But honestly, the best way to do it is to get garlic that's garlic seed, which is it's been grown for this purpose. It's usually you'll get it. It's certified disease free and it's healthy. And you eat these nice big fat, plump little cloves. And you always want to use the healthiest, largest of those cloves because those will hopefully develop into a larger bulb. All those smaller ones, you can plant them and watch them grow. But I've noticed those little minuscule cloves.
I got little baby ones from those.
You'll get something, but you're really better off just eating those ones and then using the big, massive cloves, the healthy looking ones to plant. I go with the 2, 4, 6. So 2 inches down, and then you space them about 4 to 5 inches apart, and then you can get them in rows about 6 to 8 inches apart. So if you forget, 2, 4, 6, 2 inches down, about 4 inches apart in their row, and you can space those rows about as close as 6 inches apart. Now you can spread them out a little bit more if you want some more space and some larger bulbs, but for me, we pack them in pretty tight. And we still get pretty darn good results.
That's
so
awesome.
I love it.
I can't wait to see you get even more yield out of your garlic this upcoming season because last year was so impressive. You had so much. I actually had a lot too.
Yay.
Not quite as much as you, but I'm going to go for it again, and I can't wait to grow garlic. It was so fun. But thank you also for the planting guide, that 246, super helpful, and that's what I did, and it worked great. But it reminds me to ask you about the other veggies you mentioned that we can direct seed.
Appreciate that.
What is your advice for direct seed, all those veggies?
So prepare your soil. Right now I'm seeing a lot of people in their Instagram feeds. It's like, hey, I'm pulling out the summer crops. And the first thing they do before they plant is they're adding compost. And now we bring it up all the time, but it's so important, especially if you're like me at the school, we garden 365. So we're always trying to grow something in the soil, which is pretty intense. So we replenish that compost at least twice a year. And so the fall is a perfect time, spring another great time. So please, as you rip out your tomatoes, your peppers, your basil, quickly replenish that with a nice thick layer of well-composted material. And I'm telling you, then when you do go to plant, you're going to have some success. Direct seeding, some things like beets really prefer to be soaked overnight. They have a really thick seed coat. And so if you soak those big, fat they look like little asteroids. They're pretty cool. I like beet seeds because they're so large. So if you have children or anybody who really wants to plant by hand, you can do that as well. Carrots, be patient. They take about 3 weeks to germinate. But I love planting from seed directly because it's kind of fun to see them pop up right in the garden. Whereas other plants that you may have wanted to start earlier in a sheltered area, like broccoli, you can actually transplant those right now. So if you don't have your broccoli, sprouts going, or you didn't get them started, no worries. Your nurseries and your fellow gardeners have your back. Mm-hmm. So things that you can transplant at this time of year. So you want to grab seedlings that are already growing. Some of that list overlaps. So even things like your bok choy and pak choy, you can get your hands on those already growing. Your peas, broccoli, of course. For me, broccoli is it's the tomato of the cool season.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's strong.
You can eat everything on it. The leaves, the stems, of course, the flower bud, the head, that crown. And then you harvest that central crown. Obviously, you get lucky and you get a lot of regrowth and you get these secondary shoots with these nice long sweet stems. I kind of treat them almost like asparagus.
Okay.
They're so tender. I love broccoli. A lot of different varieties out there. Of course, your broccoli rabe, your cabbage, you can start those from transplants as well now. Your Brussels sprouts, peas, if you got those going. You got to get them in before it gets too cold. I've started peas in the cool season once before. I was at the tail end and they just never got rooted in and got going.
No.
So you really want to take advantage of this transitional time where, like I said, the days are just about a little bit cool enough to get them going, but the soil is still warm enough to get those roots activated and keep that root growth growing. So it's a perfect time of year to do all this. I love it.
Exciting. All right.
Yeah.
So I encourage all of our listeners to go plan out what you want to try. Go visit the seed rack, get inspired, and try to direct sow as much as you can, because that's just like such an awesome way to go. And then if not, for like certain things like broccoli, garlic, Brussels sprouts, get some transplants and
If you can.
and put them in.
Mustard greens. I mean, if you don't want to wait for the seeds, you can get some lettuce starts already, some spinach. There's a lot of fun to be had for sure.
Cool. All right. Well, I love veggies, and that's something I'm going to start doing here right away. But another thing we talk about in the fall, Kevin, is cover crops. Let's say you had a long, hard summer, and you're ready for a break.
Yeah, you're like
you recommend you don't just leave your beds bare, but you actually do cover cropping.
Yes.
So let's go through cover cropping.
You brought it up, so a lot of people might just be exhausted from the summer,
Right.
and they're like, I'm ready, just got to, we're going into the spooky season, holidays, whatnot. I'm taking a break. Don't just forget about your garden. You got to put that soil to rest, and you can do it a number of ways. You can cover it with a nice thick layer of compost and mulch, and then let it rest and break down. But a lot of folks are like, I'm going to let nature do its thing, and they will actually use this season to basically build their soil with plants growing and the cover crops. I mean, come on, it's this awesome thing where you can kind of plant them and then forget about them a little bit. Let them grow as they start to mature, and some of them do different things. So can I list a few and talk a little bit? So I love crimson clover. It's a beautiful little plant. It's a legume, so related to beans and peas and all that, where they have that pod that splits on two sides. And they are nitrogen fixers with bacteria growing off their roots on these little nodules. They can absorb nitrogen, atmospheric nitrogen. It's all around us in the air. And they actually can absorb it and then fix it into the soil, which is pretty cool. And just having a lot of these cover crops around your garden beds will actually, just their presence suppresses weeds. Some of them, like the crimson clover I mentioned, that actually attracts pollinators. And it's really pretty. They get these little like puffball flowers. Of course, another classic one, hairy vetch. It's, another legume. And so it is these, sometimes you'll see it kind of growing naturally along the riverways and creeks when you go for hikes and stuff. Purple, kind of those thin little leaves on there, and it's a kind of a wild little plant. It almost grows a little weedy, but it is a really cool cover crop.
Is that why they call it hairy vetch?
I don't know. There's actually different types of vetch. And actually several different varieties.
Not just hairy.
No, yes. And so you can actually explore the vetch varieties and find the one that works best for you. But what's cool about the hairy vetch is it's drought tolerant, which is great for us when we do get periods of just, lack of moisture.
That's huge.
And it helps reduce soil compaction. And so it's super beneficial.
Is that because the roots are breaking up
They're
the soil?
breaking it up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
Nice.
there's actually some cover crops where they do that just for that, where they have tap roots that are just known for breaking apart that soil. So things like fava beans, another legume, right? And the pods are edible, but a lot of folks for cover crop will let them grow, and then as they start to kind of flower, but before they set seed, you're chopping them up. You do a chop and drop, which is pretty cool. So you can do that a bit with things like buckwheat. Buckwheat is a really cool cover crop. It actually does this. It retrieves phosphorus, right? And retrieves it. And then breaks it down, and it retrieves phosphorus back from the soil and can actually replenish it. And what's cool is it also breaks down quickly. So as you do that chop and drop, like I mentioned, a lot of people, their cover crops kind of mature a little bit, but right before they expend all their energy, you cut it down and just chop and drop it right into where your soil.
And you said
your
it breaks down easily. That's cool.
That one for sure. The buckwheat.
Oh, wow.
Some you notice stay around a little bit, maybe take a little more chop than drop. But things like peas and oats, that's a mix you can get where it actually is peas and oats.
I've seen that on that's a botanical interest.
Oh, all of these,
right?
absolutely. You'll see all of these in seed packets at your local nurseries, Green Acres Nursery and Supply, of course.
Nice.
And these are all cover crop seeds for this purpose. They all kind of do slightly different things, but also kind of do similar things as well. So you can have a little fun with it. Like you mentioned, some are known for breaking up harder soil, but for a lot of our gardeners listening, they probably hopefully have relatively decent soil, and they want to just keep it that way and improve it a little bit.
Yep.
Cover cropping through the fall and winter is just an easy way to do that for sure.
Okay. All right, Kevin. Wow. So cover crops. What else can we be thinking about in our gardens this time of year. I'm thinking that there's lots of beautiful fall and winter colorful flowers that we can plant. So what do you recommend if we're not planting food or doing cover crops? What else you got?
Color, color, color. So the other day, the weekend came. I spent so much time out back with the family. It was like one of those first days because it had been so hot where we'd race out in the backyard for like a few minutes, do some yard work and be like, let's get back inside quick.
But now you can hang.
But now it's so nice. I'm spending more time out there and I'm thinking, man, I want some more color out here and a little, something for the season that just looks a little nicer. And there's also benefit to that. Just as the cover crops can suppress some of that weed growth and reduce soil loss and erosion, some of those plants, some of our cover crop flowers can do similar things. And by that, I mean our annual fall color. And they can also attract beneficial organisms and pollinators. Sometimes, the fall and winter for some plants, they gets a little bare in the garden. So we want to try to keep those good bugs around and create help that ecosystem kind of continue through the winter and the cool season.
Wow.
So for me, I love pansies, and then pansy juniors are like viola. Those two plants, you'll notice in the nursery.
Pansy Junior?
Viola. They look just like pansies,
What?
and they're very closely related, but they're just smaller.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll hear them as Johnny Jump Ups and things like that, but both. I just love pansies. They are edible, although they taste a little weird. So you can put them on your cakes if you want to decorate. But they love the cooler weather. There's so many different colors to choose from, and their flowers have like faces on them and interesting like veination of different colors and splotching. You get these yellows and blacks and purples and yellows and just whites and there's all these different amazing colors of them. And for me, they don't get too big, so it's perfect for the border around the garden. That's what we use them at the school for. We have a beautiful, kind of a rectangular shaped garden, and around that entire perimeter is all seasonal color.
Wow. Is it just kind of like a foot of pansies?
Exactly. And then in that, we mix a lot of other stuff. So I love snapdragons. Just one of my favorites. The kids love playing with them. They can get a little bit taller, but not too big. A lot of different colors to choose from, the pinks and the yellows and reds and purples, and they will give you some height compared to the pansies. Calendula, come on. I mean, come on. Pollen, it's great for the bugs, and I not a bad little fragrance either. But for me, the one plant that is like the pumpkin spice latte of fall color.
Geez. Oh, no.
Where this is just like, very seasonal. Mums, chrysanthemums.
Yes.
This is, mum is the word, as they say.
I picked up myself some purple ones. I thought they were just
right
so beautiful. The little extra pop of color in my backyard.
And it's like a bouquet. The plant itself blooms as a bouquet where it's very concentrated and it kind of spreads out like a little dome. They're so pretty. Their structure and all those little blossoms together just make up something special. And I think if you go down to your nurseries, you'll probably find some mums that speak to you. Like I said, they're so seasonally relevant for right now because they really enjoy this cooler weather. They hold their color a little nicer.
They look like fall.
They absolutely look like fall. A lot of yellows and kind of burnt oranges and those kind of colors. I love them. Great in a pot up if you want to, or a raised bed. They just look fantastic. And some others that really, for me, for fall color, I'll kind of speed it up. Cyclamen, if you want some beautiful, freaky-looking flowers with really interesting foliage, and I say freaky in the best way possible, because they're flowers that point their faces down and their petals back up towards the sky. So when you look at them a little closely next time, Austin.
Oh, interesting.
Like the face of the flower is actually usually pointing towards the ground, and the petals kind of like are pointed backwards up towards the sky.
That sounds
so
funny.
Cool. Yellow, whites and reds and pinks, kind of in that hue. So they're so cool, and to me, they're kind of like the fancy flower of fall.
Ooh,
where
they think they're special?
hoity-toity, and you can actually keep those around a little bit. Some people will treat them as an annual, but with a little love, you can kind of get it to come back and have some more fun with them. Other, honorable mentions, dianthus, you're going to start seeing those. Those are kind of like a little carnation-like flower, really pretty, cool kind of leaf as well, where they will contrast well with all the other ones we talked about.
Can I ask you, you mentioned that the pansies would do well as like a border placement. I'm wondering if you have ideas for these other ones that you're mentioning, like where they would look best in the garden, in a pot, as a border again, or as something else. Like, what do you think?
It really depends on the person and what you like. With mums, they're so pretty. Sometimes I'll see them potted as a standalone, where it's just the mum on display. Other people might use that as like your thriller, and then kind of add in some spillard off the edge. For me, cyclamen, you'll see them in beds. You'll see them along walkways up to your home, or in kind of almost a nice beautiful pot ups where they might just be the entire pot up, might be just cyclamen. I love them for that. The dianthus are a little bit more wild looking, and you could use in a container, but you might be able to dot them a little bit more in your landscape. Flowering kale, another one that is great this time of year, and you can use that same way. You can use it in your containers just well, or leading up to your home or at the border or at the edge of your landscape.
I've seen flowering kale as like a thriller in a pot up.
They're really cool, and even though they flower, and the flowers are interesting, they're really their foliage is amazing
because it's like pink, purple, and all that.
Yes, you get textured. You'll get these
and
weird
white
pinks
ones?
and purples. Yeah, so if you want something to make all the other flowers we just mentioned pop, you go with things like that, and they do as you'll notice other flowers you planted in spring for the spring-summer season, they might be kind of fading out. Even your petunias and things of that nature. They're going to be kind of fading out. And so those are the ones you're going to want to replace with all the ones we just mentioned because they really enjoy this cooler weather. They're not going to fade out in the cool weather. They're going to look better because of it. So it's pretty cool. And they're pollinator friendly. We want to keep feeding those pollinators and keep bringing them into the landscape.
I forget that they have all those benefits. That's so cool. And thank you for the advice on maybe ideas of where to put some of this stuff. I do also want to ask you a follow-up question. Is there any additional planting or care concerns for any of these colorful, beautiful flowers?
Just make sure it is cooler, but they are going to want water to get established. So until we get some more consistent rain, I would make sure that you're out there watering and having them on an irrigation cycle. Feed them just like you would. And if you're pulling out your summer flowers from a flower bed, then they might also, just like your vegetable garden, it's time to add in some compost and some organic matter, maybe replenish the mulch a little bit and add in some, maybe some organic fertilizer if you think you need it. But that's what's going to feed those flowers. If you're not feeding the soil and building it back up, they're not going to be at their best. So definitely get them watered in to get them established. Take advantage of the warm soil we have in the cooler nights. And I think they're going to go in hopefully with low stress and kind of reward you with some beautiful color. And for me, about where you plant them, it's really about where you want how you want them to look from your vantage point. And so think about their height, how big they're going to be at maturity, and how much space they need. You can plant them dense, all of these, but if you give them all a little space, that's fine too. It's it's up to the artist to make the most of it. But
awesome.
Think about their size at full maturity.
And if you did have a little space, you could fill that in with some mulch or something, right?
Absolutely.
And make it kind of look a little more intentional.
You
have to space it out.
Yeah, but I love it when they're all clustered in. You basically just want enough space for each plant to be at its best. But I like it by the time they get mature, they're all kind of rubbing elbows with each other.
There you go.
So that way your garden bed or that pot up, that container just looks super just lush.
Awesome.
And that's what we want.
Wow. Well, this is just such an exciting time, and this is really just the beginning. And I really appreciate all of these ideas. There's, people do different things in their landscape and in their garden this time of year, and there's just a lot of excitement and things happening now. So it's really fun. And I really, I get jazzed for the veggie gardening. So I'm going to be getting my seeds going here soon. But I'm wondering, Kevin, is there anything that we left off the table? Anything we've forgotten? What else should we be thinking about right now?
There's so much to consider, although our episodes are so short. Never long enough to be with my friends here. And I'm so thankful that everyone's here, by the way. But fall is absolutely for planting. And the one thing that we didn't mention is this is an amazing time of the year to edit your landscape, whether it's just pulling,
editing.
Edit it. So let's say you have a front yard landscape, side yard, it's more ornamental. If you had a shrub or a plant or perennial or that just did not do well, or maybe it didn't make it, get them out of there. And then maybe this is a good time to plan out maybe something that's changed. So it's a great time to, like I said, make some positive edits to the garden where you can do things that hey, this didn't work. I'm going to put something else different, make a change. But it's also a great time if you want to if you're like, I'm ripping out the lawn. This is the year I'm ripping the lawn out and I'm going full ornamentals. We're going to throw some trees, some shrubs, some grasses, some perennials. The fall, if you're going to do all that and go extreme,
spring.
Everyone thinks spring and summer. No. Spring's an amazing time. But if you really want to have the best chance at success, plant your new landscape right now in the fall. Like we mentioned earlier, It's less stressful on the plants. It's cooler weather, but the soil is still warm enough to help those plants get rooted in. And then once we get some seasonal, rains, dude, they're going to have fall and winter to get established. And then come spring, all those plants you planted will have a great opportunity to just be thriving.
That's
and so
what we want.
The sickest gardens that you see in the spring and summer, somebody was doing something at this time of the year to make that all happen. Typically, at least I would say. And so if you're going to do a big overhaul on your garden, fall is and you like, I don't want to lose a single plant. I don't want to, because I've seen people where they do their whole yard in the summer and they're like, a good bulk of it dies. And you're like, oh no.
Oh, no. Yeah.
You don't want that. And so if you're afraid of that, or you just want to, mitigate that opportunity or that chance, fall is an amazing time to do some like big changes and things, even small changes.
You're making me think that, it's the best time for trees too, we say, right?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're like, I'm going to plant a tree, or, whether it's, again, eventually we'll get to fruit trees, but that'll be a little later in the season.
Yeah, we'll wait.
That mainly is to do with availability, but ornamental trees, shade trees, this is the absolute best time. Because for all the reasons I mentioned, I won't rehash it, but it's just, if you really want your tree to get established and have a great opportunity.
And you do, because that's a big investment.
Yes.
Typically, you're counting on this tree being around for a long time, so you want to give it the best chance, right?
So fall, if you want to plant your tree, shrubs, perennials, do them right now.
And I remember learning this from Julia at Hedgerow Farms, that fall is the best time to plant the native flowers and the native shrubs. So any natives, I think,
yes,
too.
Absolutely. You're spot on, Austin. Yeah. So honorable mention goes to, if you can get your hands on native plants, go for it. If you can get your hands on their seed packets like Hedgerow, even better.
And I think all the milkweed and stuff too, like now is like really the critical time to plant that stuff.
Because a lot of times you get those seeds kind of sprinkled out into your landscape, and they're natural, they're native, and so they appreciate the cool weather they're going to get in the winter, and that'll allow them to get. Some of them need that
That's how they would do it in nature.
They need that vernalization, right? That cool period that they get. Some people do this to their garlic sets a little bit. Sometimes they refrigerate them if they feel they're not going to get enough cool weather. But for those native seeds, things like our poppies that we love, they love sticking it out through the winter and enjoying that cold weather. And then that cold weather kind of it's weird how it helps them. And
that is weird.
And then come spring, all those fall planted native seeds you sprinkled out and kind of scattered or whatever, that's when you're going to start seeing them thrive, is back in the spring. But you got to get them out now.
Cool. All right. Thinking ahead. And gosh, nature's just so cool. I love learning about all this stuff, and I'm so excited for this upcoming growing season here, Kevin. Thank you so much for walking us through why this is the best time, what things we should be planting and thinking about right now. So thank you so much. Good luck to all of our listeners. I hope you get out there, get your hands dirty a little bit. Get planting, and get after it. Kevin, that's all the time we have for this week. Go ahead and take us out.
Oh, no, man, the time flies when I'm here. I swear, it's a fast work day here. Well, huge shout out to all of our listeners for tuning in. We love having you here. It's so much fun to share the love of gardening with people. Hopefully someone's listening right now and they're just like, I can't wait. I'm gonna go grow something. You never know. And if you're listening and you're gonna go grow something, you may just inspire other people to garden and grow as well. Yeah. So you never know where that will go. Fall is an amazing time. I love autumn. It is so awesome. I'm over 100-degree days, Austin. I'm over it. I can take a break till next season.
Hey, we're good.
And you know what? Thankfully for me, there's still plants that enjoy this cool weather. So I'm gonna do what I can with those plants. Time for me to get back in that garden. And that's about the same to all of our listeners. Please get out in that garden, have some fun this week. Do what you can. Edit. If you're gonna put your garden to sleep, do it the right way. Add some compost, some mulch, maybe throw in some cover crop, and then say, I'll see you in the spring. For all of us who just can't get enough, it's time to get gardening. Let's do it, folks. Please go out and have a great week. Treat yourself really well. And if you could find another person, treat them pretty well too. Until next week, garden friends, happy gardening to you all. And please, never stop growing.